Morning. This is the day the Lord has made. Let us be glad and rejoice in it. My name is Jean Blake, and I will be your celebration assistant today. The guest speaker today is our own Unity member, Sharon Marquart. Sharon has given us many of her messages and workshops, and we welcome her back with her message, The Promised Land. Sue Riley is our musician, and she is a celebrated singer, songwriter, with 8 albums of positive, uplifting music. She is a co-founder of Empower Music and Art, which is a service we use at our Unity for our own music. We have sung many of Sue's songs in the past. For more on Sue, visit her webpage at sueriley.com. We are blessed to have you both with us. At this time, Sue's going to start with our gathering song, Season of Faith, by Sue Riley and Melinda Wood Allen.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. Here we go. I woke up this morning leaning on faith, faith, faith. I woke up this morning leaning on faith, faith, faith. Faith in every breath I take, faith in all my ways. I woke up this morning leaning on faith. I woke up this morning dreaming about peace, peace, peace. I woke up this morning dreaming about peace, peace, peace. Peace in every step I take, peace in all my ways. I woke up this morning dreaming about peace. In every way, I live the love I'd like to see. And every day, the world returns it back to me. I woke up this morning shouting out joy, joy, joy. I woke up this morning shouting out joy, joy, joy. Joy in every breath I take, joy in all my ways. I woke up this morning singing about joy. In every way, I live the love I'd like to see. And every day, the world returns it back to me. I woke up this morning leaning on faith, faith, faith. I woke up this morning leaning on faith, faith, faith. Faith in every breath I take, faith in all my ways. I woke up this morning leaning on faith. I woke up this morning singing about love. I woke up this morning leaning on faith. Thank you. I am standing at the gate of unlimited possibilities. I'm ready for the blessings only Spirit can bestow. I'm now open and receptive for the good that's bound to come to me. This I know, and I know that I know. Nothing is impossible. It is never too late. Nothing is too much for God, no challenge too great. Hold on to your faith, the truth will be revealed. Nothing's incurable, all things can be healed. has the power to receive and to give form. It takes hold of desire when you believe. You will walk on water, even through the storm. What I believe, I can conceive. Thank God in faith I will receive. 'Cause nothing is impossible. It is never too late. Nothing is too much for God. No challenge too great. Hold on to your faith. The truth will be revealed. Nothing's incurable. All things can be healed. Nothing's incurable. All things can be healed.
We're talking about the promised land today. And I love the song Sue picked. Nothing is impossible. I'm standing at the gates. The question is, are we opening the gates? Or are we just going to stand there and wait? Have we done this spiritual journey and now we're going to see that the promised land is before us, but we can't imagine ourselves living in it? One of the things about the promised land, well, let's just start at the beginning. So in the scripture, there's the story about the Exodus. And so the Exodus is when the Israelites were enslaved by Pharaoh. They were enslaved. And then Moses said, let my people go. And it took 10 plagues and all kinds of horrendous conditions until Pharaoh agreed to let the Israelites go. And then what happened when they began their journey? It's not like the promised land was right next door. They had to go through the desert and all kinds of conditions for 40 years. Now, metaphysics, 40 means enough time. And so they were wandering in the desert. And can you imagine? People died there, people were complaining, and at some point, they may have even thought, here I made this commitment to a God I believe in, and now I'm going to starve to death because they had no food. And so God provided daily manna. And the thing was, the manna, the bread, it was a plant that produced something that would sustain them, was only good for one day because they would gather it all. They thought abundance, so they gathered and gathered it, and overnight it got solid as a rock. So they had to trust one day at a time, truly. And so to get to the promised land, it took a lot of challenges, and they had to hold on to their faith. And in the end, Moses never made it to the promised land. And so it had to be Joshua took them across the river Jordan to the promised land. And what is that for us? What does that mean for us? It means when we had a spiritual awakening, we may have found new ideas. We may have found um, unity. We may have found a new thought system. We have evolved as a human to get to a place where we know, I would call unity more psycho-spiritual, which means we're using our mind and our thoughts. It evolved out of the new thought movement that happened in the 1900s. And we know a lot more about metaphysics. And so perhaps we had a thought and we said, I'm going to believe this and our life will change. It's sort of like, I'm going to wake up and then all of a sudden life's going to be totally different. Well, our perspective of it's going to be different. Our challenge of it is still be there. And why is that? And this is why I think it's important that we talk about the promised land at this time. Because it is, the promised land means we open up to a new way of thinking. What are we enslaved to? We're enslaved to our human condition. We are enslaved to our human condition. We have been taught how to survive as humans, and for most of people and most humans in the world, staying alive is their goal, to experience life, to stay alive. And so we're addicted to what we see in front of our eyes because our human conditioning taught to us, as rightly so, how to survive. It was about what's in front of your eyes. What do you see? We were not taught so much of how do you name what you see? What do you call it? Is this a bad situation? Is this a good situation? That's part of the human conditioning. And so now that we are adults and grown and living in a whole different world as as we have evolved, and as the world in front of our eyes is changing rapidly, we are a generation that can see the world is changing rapidly. So that is calling us, asking us to get to the basics. What was it that kept and sustained the Israelites in the desert for all those years? They were asked to go within, to what is their belief? What is their faith? What is their trust? We know many people, the book Man's Search for Meaning, Viktor Frankl, he was in horrendous conditions. And right now, there are people in other cultures and countries who are in a horrendous situation. War is going on around them, starvation, drought. The human condition is not one that's going to be lush and green, sustaining life. And what are they forced to do? To go within, to get their heart and mind in coherence, to get that in sync, so that they can wake up in joy, as this first song sung, wake up in peace, wake up in joy, regardless of what it looks in front of you. There are many people who are incarcerated, and when they get out of freedom, when they get out into a world of freedom, what happens? Sometimes they recommit a crime to get put back in to confinement. And why is that? Because at least in confinement, they had a bed, they got fed 3 meals a day, they were able to live, and they got adjusted to the conditions in there. And that's what can happen to us as humans. We are so adjusted to the conditions of life, when the conditions change, it throws us off kilter. Now, the conditions could be an illness. It could be a broken bone. And so what happens? Is that going to throw us off? Is that going to take us out of the promised land? Is that going to reduce our faith? Forget about the faith. I have to deal with this condition in order to heal. We may go through a situation that could be a flood, it could be a fire that destroys our possessions, it could be a move, it could be a divorce. Different human conditions are not there to throw us off balance. They're there to help us question, how deep is my faith? How deep is my love? How am I going to get through this? Most of you know I've recently, over 3 years, had several operations to heal a break and a reconstruction in my body. And so I was asked then, are you going to let this take you off your faith? Are you going to let it take you inside? Does it matter what conditions we live outside? Or am I going to stay within? And that's the goal. That's the promised land. So when it says, I'm standing at the gates looking, are you looking at the promised land? Are you wishing that you were there? Are you awake enough to know that there is another way to do life? That there is another experience that you can have? Or are you going to untie yourself from the outside world and turn to the inside world and let that sustain you. No matter what condition you're in, no matter what situation you're in, can you turn within in faith? I recently have done some studying and work with Michael Singer, who wrote The Untethered Soul. Gary Zukav also wrote a book on authentic power. And is our authentic power is about combining our soul energy, the spirit that lives within us, with my personality. The question I often get asked as a spiritual teacher and leader is, how do I live in the world and not be of it? What the heck does that statement even make? And so what that means, how can I still be in my humanness, but say good morning to peace, good morning to love, good morning, soul. My soul in my physical body is going to walk on earth today. How may I extend that into the world? I personally have a belief that I am the vehicle for my soul to be in the world, and it is my position to extend that soul out into the world. I believe is what Jesus taught. The kingdom of heaven is within me. What does that mean? Do I have my thoughts, emotions aligned with the soul energy, with the source of me, with that kingdom of heaven? Can I extend that out into the world? And how am I going to do that? We did have some audio situations this morning that weren't in sync. And so we had to make some quick decisions and make some changes and adjustments to that. And that's the exact question. Are we going to let little things throw us off? Are we going to get out of sync? We're not always in sync with the world. And so how can I be in sync with my soul energy? And they call that uh, coherence. How can I be coherence between my head, my thoughts, and my heart? How can I be in coherence, solid energy, aligned and balanced equally together? How can I allow the source of me, the God within me, extend life out into the world? How do I do that? With compassion, with kindness, with generosity, with the flow, to stay balanced and in the flow. A couple of weeks ago, Reverend Sandra talked about new heaven and new earth. And I think that's where we are in this generation. We're so used to having a system and a structure that made us feel loved and secured. And we're asked to let go of that. Where is my security? Where does it lie? It lies within me. It lies within my thoughts about me, my thoughts about what's going on. Are we following our heart or are we following our eyes? Are we enslaving ourselves to our five dimensional world with my five senses? Am I enslaved to that? Does the world have to look a certain way out in front of me before I believe that I've reached the promised land? A couple weeks ago, when Karen announced that I was going to be talking about the promised land, I said about getting there, and she said, or maybe we are there. So what if that is true? What if it is true that I'm at the promised land? I'm at the gates. Can I open the gate? Can I part the Red Sea? Can I part the Jordan? Can I walk across the dry land that happens? And so, what is it that I must do? Well, I have to let go of that which no longer serves me. I have to release some of my baggage, some of my thoughts about this. I have to open my mind to receive. I have to open my hands and my heart to receive, which means I have to have a very deep connection with the spirit within me. I have to live in the kingdom of heaven to be in the world. I have to be as a human in the world, but not of it. Live in the kingdom of heaven. We have to accept that we are living right now, especially as the systems we've grown accustomed to are being disintegrated, being torn apart, as there's war and drought and even electronic systems that are breaking down. All the way the world is evolving and changing in my and our generations, we have to let that go and again ask it to call me within. So I have to build an entirely new way of living life. I have to live as I am if I as in the promised land. I'm living here. What does that mean? It's been promised to me. The kingdom of heaven is within. All the teachings that Jesus, the Christed one, taught and is recorded is calling me to step within. There are many mansions in this kingdom of heaven within. And we have many teachers that are reflecting that as well and believing that if enough of us in human form get together and hold thoughts about living in the promised land, it can shift the outside to reflect that as well. Yes, or this Thursday, I believe there was a meditation that was about millions and millions of followers and believers and awakened, aware humans got together in that 24-hour period and held for seconds, as long as they could, the thoughts of living in a peaceful world. And that all joined together in source, in oneness, in the energy. The promised land is not a place that we arrive to. It's not a place. Some people believe that when they have a spiritual awakening that they're going to arrive at a human life that is perfect. It can be perfect because we're going to name it perfect in our minds. We have we have a holistic way of believing. Holistic meaning our minds, the way we think, how we name things out here, how we judge the world in front of us, is going to become more aligned with the peace that is in my heart. Joe Dispenza just made a statement this week. We have reached the promised land when we stop creating our world out of fear and begin to create our world from source, which is love. So can you create your world out of love? Can you look at the world and become more aligned with your soul energy, your source energy? Can you be untethered to the events that happen and just know that these are material events? And can I name them in my mind, in my thinking? Can I name them aligned with heart? Can we observe? Can I observe and say, well, that's interesting? And then can I turn within and feel that peace? Can I take the instruction as explained and as taught by Jesus? Can I take the reflection of Viktor Frankl, of Mother Teresa, of other elevated in their mind and heart, those who were in sync? Can we take their instruction and their experience, and can we bring it into our own hearts? Can we receive? Can I receive love? Can I know that I'm worthy? Can I not have a question that when I believe, I will see? Maybe the seeing is with our heart only. I can see something instead of saying, oh, that's scary, I'm walking away from that. Maybe my heart says, walk towards it, offer love and compassion, say a kind word, give a lending hand. Can I allow? Can I allow what is to be what is? And can I allow the energy to flow from me? That is why I believe that we are here. My soul is here today because my soul and the love within wants to extend itself out into the world. I may not know how this day is going to unfold, but I do know that it will unfold before me. And can I be the me? Even though we were challenged this morning with being out of sync, it reminded me to get in sync, Sharon. Go through the world today in sync. And how do I do that? Well, in Unity, we teach that it's through prayer, it's through meditation, it is through aligning our mind and our thoughts. It is receiving all that is given and offered to me to know that I am loved. There's a course of love that I teach, and there was one paragraph or one sentence that said, I am accomplished. Now, if I believed that I was accomplished, and that means to me to be in sync, heart, mind, spirit, where I'm in sync with myself. I'm grounded, I'm balanced. I'm here as a human, and I'm here as the center of love. The center of love is within me. And can I know that? That is the accomplished. I don't have to do anything. I don't have to go anywhere. I don't have to have certain degrees. I don't have to be accomplished. I don't have to be in a certain situation in order to be, for me, to be loving, kind, compassionate. To me, for me to be the extension of God in the world. That applies to all of you. That is the call of you for you today to live in the promised land, to be aligned, to be surrendered, to follow your heart. When you have that connection, you can turn within, and when you turn within, you'll be guided and directed. You have to listen to that voice. You have to trust that voice. You have to know that that voice will lead you, guide you, direct you to the truth of who you are. When you know the truth of who you are, the song that was sung is, I awake in peace. I awake, I feel love. I awake and I feel the spirit of me, the spirit that lives within me, the source of life within me. It is within all of us. And that is the oneness that we all align with. Living in the promised land is an energetic experience. And I have senses that can sense that experience. Am I in sync? Am I grounded in my humanness? Am I a vehicle for God? Many people often say, I'm the hands and feet and voice of God. It doesn't, it isn't an arrogant saying. It's not from our ego self. It's from our divine self. You know, we all have a self that's a small s. That's my personality self. The personality self is the protective personality. It will protect itself for its own good, for its own reward, for its own acknowledgement. And then we all have a self with a capital S that is our divine self. Am I willing to allow my divine self to align with my personality self so that I can show up in the world in my wholeness? I'm here as a human for a reason. Earth is existing for a reason. We are all here for a reason and a purpose. Can I allow that person to be in sync? Can I allow that alignment to be the hands and feet and voice that offers love and peace and compassion in the world? One of the things we can do is not get so caught up into the human bombardment we have uh, of news, and we don't care if it's fake news or real news. Most of the news is about fear. It's about offering us a condition of the world that's going to be scary. And when the condition of the world gets scary, what do? Oh, the other conditions of the world is we have lots of drugs that we can take that will make us be less scared. And so are we going to take the world from the outside in, or are we going to listen and see the world from the inside out? That was part of the New Thought movement. Sometimes I get very excited when I think of Charles Fillmore, a 34-year-old man who in the 1889 began this um, belief. He didn't even call it a religion. It's a belief system, the New Thought system called unity. And he titled it Unity, and the theme that he had as we raise our consciousness, we raise the energy of the earth, we raise the energy of ourselves, we bring spirit to earth in human form, and we raise that human form and that energy to create a new world. I think that he would be very thrilled and excited to know how we have evolved. He didn't even have a language for many things we experience now, like metaphysics and um, evolution. So we can be thrilled that we're carrying this forth, that we are able to allow and love to flow from us. We are able to surrender our attachment to results, our attachment to what we think is. We're allowed to have a deep connection with that source, and we know how to receive that connection and connect to it. We can follow the energy of our heart, and we have a responsibility to build a whole new world. And we allow that as this world that we've known is beginning to disintegrate, crumble, and shift gears, that we can be a part of creating a new world. In the New Thought system, 200 years ago, almost at the exact same place. We're going to create a new world. We're going to create one that is about love, about peace, about experiencing joy, about following the teachings of Jesus as a master teacher. Realize that the kingdom of heaven is within. We never left the Garden of Eden, where all our needs are satisfied and fulfilled, and we resonate in a coherent way, bringing our heart and our mind together in sync. I hope your heart and mind are more together in sync since we've shared this morning together. And I want to ask that let's close our eyes and do a meditation. So if you close your eyes, I'm going to invite you to put your left hand on your heart and your right hand on your navel, your belly button. And I want you to breathe in, count to 4, count to 4 as you hold your breath, and count to 6 as you exhale. This is a way we physically use our bodies and our breath to align ourselves in sync, heart and mind, the heart, love, and our humanness. So let's continue that for a moment. Breathe in through your nose, hold it for 4. Exhale through your mouth for 6 counts. Breathing in, 1, 2, 3, 4. Hold it, 1, 2, 3, 4. Exhale, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's do one more breath. Holding in for 4, holding 4, breathing out for 6. Bringing ourselves physically into our human body, energetically, holding it, and then exhaling love, peace, joy. May our prayer be, good morning, soul. I live in peace. I live in love. I live in joy. One more deep breath to seal all of the thoughts whatever remains in your mind as a way of thinking, as an energy, I invite you to hold those thoughts this week, to receive the blessing to live in the promised land. It's promised that you can live in peace and joy. It's promised that your needs will be met. Any place that you are still enslaved in, imprisoned in, when those come up in your mind, in your human experience, I invite you to use this technique to turn within, to allow some negative or low energy emotions to be released, to allow your thoughts to remain in the highest form, to offer and receive the blessings that are yours to receive. And so it is.
When Columbus sailed over the ocean, he didn't know what he would find, with uncertainty looming before him, and the life he knew falling behind. Moving forward through uncharted water, his heart leading the way, knowing for certain what he needed is a leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. Leap of faith. Leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. Well, you know, I have been wandering. Sometimes my vision has dimmed. That always gets me to wondering if I'm doing the best that I can. And I know if I start to falter, you'll show me the strength and the way. Though I might waver, I'm certain all I'm missing is a leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. Leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. Leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. I need faith to believe in the wisdom of change as I follow in trust. When my ways are not enough, I need a leap of faith. Leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. Leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. So like Columbus, I am always exploring, but this new world isn't easy to find. It's hard to let go of the comfort of the things I would be leaving behind. But one day I know I'll be ready to cast off these lines and set sail. The first step I need to consider is a big one. It's a leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. Leap of faith. Leap of faith. I need a leap of faith. Need a leap of faith. Leap of faith. Leap of faith. I need a leap of faith.
Thank you, Sue. Thank you for sharing your gifts of music. And thank you, Sharon, for your inspiring message. Wow, it was great.